What brought me here? Well, I can enlarge on that, but it would take a while because it's all in writing in my folder over there. But to put it more concisely, I was living in a home at Glenorchy, a housing department home. The circumstances under which I went to that home was that my wife had died. I lived in a house at Cambridge Road for 54 years, which I owned. Then I think people all get lonely. I met this other lady who lived in Glenorchy, and she said, "Come and live with me." And I said, "Yeah, I'll accept that." So I did. And we had some wonderful times because I've always had boats, and she adapted to the boat very well and liked the boat. And so we'd go for a whole Easter without touching foot on earth, just lived on the boat. So, of course I had money, I sold the house after having a battle with the public trustee. After that, I bought a BMW car. It was second hand, but it only done 64,000 clicks. It was a Japanese embassy car from Canberra, and Marguerite was a good driver. I felt quite confident to let her drive anywhere, which she did. But unfortunately, around early 2017, she developed diabetes too, and had to give herself an injection every day in the stomach and a blood test from the finger, and be very careful about sugar, so on. On the 18th of August 2018, early in the morning, she called out for my help, and I went in. She'd fallen out of bed, couldn't get back in, because she'd all of a sudden lost all the strength of her body, and she had developed a red rash all over her stomach, I mean the whole area. It was diagnosed as cellulitis. She was sent immediately to the Royal Hobart Hospital. She lasted 10 days. On the 28th of August 2018, she passed away. One of the worst things that I ever had to do was to sign the permission to take the ventilator away so that she couldn't live with it, she couldn't live without it. However, then I lived alone in the residence for a time, until her son, who was interstate, decided to come home. He sent me a text message, "I'm coming home tomorrow," and there he was. So with an age pension, it was a bit difficult to keep an extra person. There were other difficulties also. The housing department requirement is that I was to inform them immediately that happened, which I didn't, because he said I'll get a job and I'll contribute, which he didn't. I saw my GP in the hope that I could get him a carer allowance, which went through and he got it. Unfortunately, this was early, before the winter. It was probably about April, May. He got the carer allowance, but the money immediately went on drugs, heavy drugs, alcohol, vodka, etc. His habits changed so that he'd go out all night. He brought home the COVID to me, which was really a pussycat. It wasn't really bad. However, he didn't get a job, and I was carrying him. He'd have a shower, and the shower meant that he run the hot water right out of the holes, 160 litres. And I just couldn't afford to keep him, so I had to talk to him. He got rather aggressive, but he did start to help to buy food, etc., which was not what I call food, pizzas and all this stuff. And he started to get more and more argumentative and aggressively so that by mid-June I started to fear for my life. It came to that. He would sit, I'm sitting in a chair now, he knowing I couldn't get up, he'd sit just there facing me, staring me in the eyes and trying to put these arguments across. And I could see the writing on the wall. It was not going to improve. So I spoke to my daughter on the 23rd of June last year, which incidentally was this young fellow's birthday. I came here a little after midday, and I've been here ever since. First of all, I was in a little room up the top level, and it was good because it had ensuite. I could shower and so on when I wanted. But when the COVID hit, everybody was confined to their room, total lockdown. So I didn't leave the room, didn't go out the door of this room for 22 days, and had no computer to amuse myself. I just relied on books and the TV. Eventually, they decided, I mean management here, decided that they'd get me another room, which I was asked for, and they gave me this room. With assistance of the RSL, I got my own computer, but the desk was assembled right there in front of me, free of cost. The RSL did this for me. Then, from the moment I came in here, I'd requested the use of my electric chair, which I'd bought with my own money back in March, early March last year. But it was denied because of a very ancient law, that very inflexible law that would not permit their use in aged care facilities because of risk to hurting other people. So I got lots of documentation there where I pleaded to get my chair. Nothing happened. I asked my daughter to bring the chair out of storage in here to me, which she did. I'd use it to go along the corridor to read a book in the sunshine and so on. But I made the mistake of going up to the reception where a woman said, "What are you doing riding that?" And I said, "Well, that's my mobility. I can't get around any other way." And she said, "Well, get out of it now." So I didn't know what was coming, and she said to another carer there, "Get that chair, lock it in that room," which they did. And that was a terrible blow. It took until from early July, it took me right through until early October to finally get the chair, get the use of it. And that was only possible by the help of Pip from Advocacy Tasmania. So we had talk. I'd written an article, which is over there, explaining all the reasons why I should have the chair. And Justin said, well, leave it with me for a while, and he went. And 15 minutes later he came back riding my chair. He said, there it is, you can use it. And that was one of the an event of great importance in my 90 years that I've lived. I wrote out quite clearly, and it's there to be read right now in that folder, my reasons for insisting that I have the chair, because I'd gone through the walking stick stage, I'd gone through the ski pole stage, and I just could not get around reliably using that means of mobility, so I needed that chair. And I stressed that it was just not feasible that a facility that's here to care for the old age was contributing my earlier death by not giving me use of my chair, which I had decided was certainly my human rights, and I stick to that now. I've known of Advocacy Tasmania for some time, but I'd never been in a situation where I'd have to call on them for help. Initially, Pip I was quite surprised at the ability of her as an advocate, because a person like me has got no hope of getting anywhere with management here. So therefore I needed an advocate, somebody with the authority to make the approaches that I wanted to make for my own benefit. Pip was so good that I wrote a letter of praise to Advocacy, and in that document also is the reply emails I got thanking me. But as things crop up, I mean, for example, this sore bottom I got, it's so painful just sitting here. I can make approaches, but you're virtually ignored. You need somebody to press your requirements, and somebody with authority, and that's where Advocacy Tasmania comes in. Well, this I'm very concerned about, because even with a small population of Tasmania, there's got to be other people in similar circumstances where they have a dire need but can't get any feedback or any improvement. And yes, there's so many things that could be improved, and has been mainly in my case, but I guess there must be many, many other people who have gone through the same circumstances, no longer with us, and those who have failed to get any help along those lines. First and most important, I would say, contact Advocacy Tasmania, because there is the help. Advocates will pull out every string to help. Very dedicated, and it gives you a feeling, a comfortable feeling, inside to know that the help is there. Secondly, to know that the help is actually helping. First of all, not just to accept everything as they are put in front of you as a given, to get early in the finding out of your rights, the ways in which you can improve your conditions, and not to let it go and go and go until people just ignore you. And this is what happens. I've had occasions where I've gone out to the nurses' station and I've waited there for an hour and people have gone past, "Hello, Alan," but nobody asked me what I was there for. So I just came back here without resolving the issue. Things like that. So this is what I would advise anybody coming in to, at the very first problem that crops up, and it won't be a long time before another one will come on top of that, but early in the piece, seek some help. Because you cannot do it alone. Well, imagine somebody with their head underwater struggling for breath and they pull their head out of the water. That's what it does when you discover Advocacy Tasmania.